become a adult knight. And in order for him to do that, he's got to go on this quest, this journey. He's got to find 4 keys, okay? 4 keys. How many keys does he have to find? 4 keys, that's right. And he's going to go through this journey. Now, I really want you to pay attention to these 4 keys, because these same 4 keys are the same keys that you need as you go on into middle school and as you go on into high school and that you go on into your adult life, okay? So I want you to pay attention. So we're going to begin. So I need your help to begin. Now my actors are ready, in position. I'm going to ask you to do this. I'm going to ask you to do lights, and when you do lights, your hands are going to go up like this. I'm going to ask you to do camera, and you do this with the camera, and then when I say action, you're going to clap your hands. Okay? Are we ready? Now remember, when we're acting on stage, we're going to be very quiet in here so that our actors know what they're doing through this story. Everybody clear? Okay. Actors ready? In 3, 2, 1. Lights! Camera! Action! Once upon a time, very, very long ago, there lived a young boy named Ordinary. Now, Ordinary lived in this land of familiar. And all the people in the land of familiar were called nobodies. So Ordinary, one day, woke up from a dream and he decided that there was, in the pit of his stomach, that there was something there. Something missing from his life. He didn't quite know what that was. And he had this dream the night before, to wake up, and he wanted to become this great knight. So that morning he went on this journey across, on his way to school, and he came across a somebody. Now a somebody was already a knight. He was from the land of opportunity. And he invited Ordinary to come sit down on this bench. But you see, in the land of familiar, the unexpected never happens. So this was very strange for Ordinary. And this young knight asked Ordinary if he wanted to go on a quest to find 4 keys so that he could fulfill that dream of his. Ordinary was really scared, didn't know what to do, because these type of things just don't happen in the land of familiar. So Ordinary thinks about it, and he says, I'm going to do it. And Champion, the knight, says to him, if you're going to go on this journey, you need to take the Sword of Courage. Now, the Sword of Courage is going to be used in battles. It's going to be used in how to make good decisions. It's going to be made in a multitude of different places. He gave him some final instructions of what he was going to look like, and then he sent him off on this journey. So Ordinary prepared himself, and he walked for many, many miles. And he drank and he ate, and he came to this sign. And this sign said, leaving the comfort zone of familiar. You see, nobody's loved the comfort zone because there they get to do everything every day the same. They get to watch the box, they get to play with the box, they get to do all the same things every single day, day in and day out. So this was scary for Ordinary. He didn't quite know what to do. So Ordinary continues on, and he came to a place called Borderland. Now at Borderland, there were what's called border bullies. Now Champion told him about these border bullies. Okay, these border bullies were going to try to discourage him from going on this quest. And they were going to tell him not to do it. But he was shocked to see who these border bullies were. Because they weren't people that hated him. They were family and friends. And the border bullies said to him,
"Don't go, man. It's a waste of your time, and you can get killed out there."
Ordinary thought about it, didn't quite know what to do, and he said, you know what? He's got the Sword of Courage. He's going to push forward. And they accepted that. So they started off back to the land of familiar. But then he came across this big bad dude right here. This big bad dude was from the land of familiar. He was the landlord of familiar. Okay? He was sick and tired of all these nobodies going across to the land of opportunity and fulfilling their dreams. So he said, I'm going to put a stop to it. And he asked Ordinary if he wanted to duel. And Ordinary knew he didn't want to duel, but he had no other choice. So they had engaged in an epic battle that lasted many hours. Some people say many, many days. Some people even say many, many weeks. Ordinary was exhausted. And it came to a point in the battle where the landlord made a crucial mistake. And as he missed Ordinary by a near margin, Ordinary was able to thrust his sword at his neck. And a choice had to be made. Does Ordinary slit his throat and become a hero, possibly to some of the nobodies who did not like this big bad dude? Or does Ordinary make a choice to spare his life? And Ordinary chose wisely. You see, Ordinary realized that his whole quest wasn't about killing people. His whole quest was about purpose. The purpose of becoming a knight, not about destroying them. And as he sent him on his way, he saw the first key. The key of respect. The respect for himself and respect for others. The respect to know what your purpose is and to go after that purpose. So as he put his key away, Ordinary moved on his journey and continued on past Borderland. And very soon, he came across this huge fear giants. These guys were big, bad, and ugly. And they were calling out fears at Ordinary left, right, and center.
Go away! You're not good enough for this quest. Go back to Ordinary. I don't like you!
Now, what the fear bullies, what Ordinary didn't know was that all these fears that were here actually did not exist. They were fears that were in his head. And so he had to make a decision. Was he going to go through the fear, or was he going to go back to the land of familiar? Ordinary chose wisely, and he continued on his quest to fight through the fear walls. It wasn't easy. He got thrown to the ground. He was battling with himself, didn't quite know what to do, but he persevered. He pushed through. And as he pushed through these fear wall, all of these fears began to crumble. And as Ordinary looked high above the hill of courage, he looked down on the ground. You know what he noticed? That all those fears that were so imaginative in his head that he dreamed of, that were so big, actually looked pretty darn small. And as he turned to the left, he noticed the second key. The second key was the key of understanding. You see, because Ordinary was learning on this journey that he was understanding this quest. He was understanding how to be a knight, how to overcome his fear, how to make decisions, and how to take risks. So the second key was established, and it didn't take very long before Ordinary went further on in his journey, and he came to a wizard. Now, this wizard was very, very evil. And he may not look evil, but I'm telling you, this guy is evil. And what he decided to do was he said, hey, Ordinary, I'm going to ask you to go down this path, this road. And if you go down this road, guess what? You're going to find the third key. But that's not the case. That road led to death and destruction. But Ordinary didn't know that. And just as he was about to go down the path, he looked to his right, and he heard a noise, and he saw some knight, some soldier who was wounded. Couldn't make out who it was. And he collapsed to the ground. And then a decision had to be made. What do I do? Do I go for my dream and get the key? Or do I give it all up to go help this wounded knight, this wounded warrior? What do you guys think he did? I don't have a clue what you're saying, but I'm going to tell you what he did. He went for the key. Really. But 5 seconds into going for the key, he stopped. And he realized his first key on respect and his second key on understanding led him to make this good choice that you treat people the way you want to be treated. You don't leave somebody dying on a road for your own glory, to take your own quest. So he gave him water and he gave him food, and when he looked at him, he realized he knew this person. This was a nobody. This was a nobody that he battled not too long ago in the land of familiar. It was the landlord. And he gave him grace, and he gave him understanding, and he gave him respect, and the landlord ended up dying. He died a very bad death, but before he died, he asked Ordinary for forgiveness, in which Ordinary forgave him. But now Ordinary is crushed. What does he do? His dream is over. He missed the key. He had to get it. He was in a huge hurry. Couldn't get the key. And now the quest is over. He was about to go on to the land of familiar and go back when he noticed the third key. The third key was standing there, the key of relationships. You see, Ordinary was tested. He chose the person. He chose to treat others the way he wanted to be treated. He chose the righteous path. And as a result, there's going to be times in Ordinary's lifetime, in your life, where you're going to have an opportunity where you're going to need help, you're going to ask for help, and people are going to be there to help you, and you'll have to make a choice if you want to help others. So now Ordinary had 3 keys. And all of a sudden, everything kind of changed. And he kind of came back full circle to the land of familiar. He didn't quite know how he got there, and he saw Champion very, very far away. And all of a sudden, all these nobody kids, all these young kids came rushing out to Ordinary. And they were cheering for him and asking him questions.
What was it like? Did you get hurt? Did you kill somebody?
And Ordinary had to make another decision. You see, what Ordinary wanted, what these kids wanted, the nobodies, they wanted him to teach them how to become a knight, how to become a warrior, how to, the stories on the battlefield that he had. And Ordinary had to make a decision, but Ordinary was sad because he only had 3 keys. He's not a knight. Then he realized, you know what? I don't need to be a knight to share my skills and to share my stories and to share my experiences. So he decided to do it. He decided to help these nobodies get their own dream, to find what was missing on their own quest. And just as they did, the 4th key, Champion brought the 4th key. Does anybody know what the 4th key is? Very good. The key of responsibility. The ability to respond. Because when you have a responsibility, when you become a knight like Ordinary, he's now giving back to his community. He's now taking all those skills and knowledge he learned, and he's going to teach these young ones how to become knights as well. So now the big thing happened. Ordinary had his 4 keys, and he held his 4 keys up high in the air. And Ordinary was taken to the Mount of Courage with Champion. And they climbed the Mount of Hills, and all the nobodies gathered around to look at this ceremony of knighthood. And Champion took his sword and drew it, and he knighted Ordinary, Sir Ordinary, Champion of the land of familiar. Yes. Now, this Ordinary, it was said that he became the most noblest of warriors, and that he learned the 4 keys. Now I need your help here. What was key number 1? Respect. Call it out. What was key number 2? Understanding. Key number 3? Relationships. And key number 4? Absolutely. Let's give these actors a round of applause. Come on up here, guys. Have a seat. All right. So grade 5s. That was a story. And what you know, those 4 keys that you watch in this story, those 4 keys really represent what Grow Boys, what Knights in Training is all about. And even though Ordinary was a representation of a quest, a journey, I want you guys to understand something. You are going to go on your own journey in life, right? You're going to go on to middle school and high school. And I want you to remember those 4 keys. Because there's something what's called the circle of hope. And when Ordinary went through this journey, he had to make a decision. What decision was that to make? That there were times where he didn't want to go. He was discouraged, he was frustrated, he wanted to go back, but he chose what? He chose to keep going, right? And that is what hope is all about, taking action and moving forward, okay? So whether you are in school and you meet who do we meet here? Who do we meet? Bullies, right? We met the bullies over here. Or you come across these really big what? Fears, absolutely. And then you move on, you meet somebody who leads you off the wrong track, right? Whatever the case may be, remember those 4 keys because they're going to guide and serve you well, okay? Now, every one of you has a exit pass card. I want you to look at that card right now, and I want you to show it to anybody. I just want you to hold on to it. And I'm going to ask you to write down, if you have not already, what is the one thing or what is things that you are missing in your life that would make tomorrow better than today. That could be something in a sports-related field, that could be family, that could be friends,